Well, Lisa Page was one of the lead investigators in the initial Russiagate probe that led to the special counsel and the Mueller investigation. She also happened to be the mistress of Peter Strzok, the lead investigator, and the person who got caught up in all of these text messages. And remember, some of those text messages, they disappeared. We never got to see them, as well as emails. They clearly showed bias against Trump. Now, a huge deal had been made once Peter Strzok went before Congress, and later on we're actually going to show you a small segment of that. She has now testified several times behind closed doors, okay? And we're going to get to her latest testimony in a moment. But I want to show you what the media is pushing first, because this is really important. First of all, Manafort has apparently flipped. And what does that mean? Well, it means nothing about Russian collusion, but by the end of this segment, you're going to realize it's never been about Russian collusion. This has always been about the impeachment of the president at all costs. And I know that Luke is kind of chagrining right now because he thinks that they have their man in office, but there, in my view, there is little doubt that there is a plethora of evidence that there are certain powers that have never wanted Trump in there because he has been disruptive in some regards. Now, Manafort beat 10 of the initial charges out of the 18 and got convicted of 8 of those. This is separate, however, and he was about to go to court again. Now he has to give up $22 million of his property in restitution, plead guilty, and make his way into whatever case. And I suspect that this case is going to have to do with campaign finance reform that they can make because there is no Russian collusion. What else leads me to that belief? Well, George Papadopoulos got 14 days in prison. And remember, he was their big Russian link. Not going to jail for anything Russian, okay? Nothing to do with collusion, but he obviously sung like a bird. Remember, this is the guy that testified that he saw Trump nod. He nodded when there was a suggestion of a meeting with Putin. So Trump never said he was going to meet with Putin. He didn't want the details of how Russia was going to help him win the election. You know, this very intelligent man that was running for president. Instead, he just gave the nod, that gangster nod. Putin, we'll meet him. Okay, so Papadopoulos, next. Now, Cohen flips. Remember, after they raided his office in what was extremely questionable, took everything, you have to understand, these aren't good people. These are criminals. Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, not good people, lobbyists, literally vermin on the planet, folks. Very terrible people. They're liars, they're criminals. It's going to be very easy to indict them, and that's why Cohen flipped. He didn't want to spend the rest of his life in jail if Trump didn't pardon him, or worse, Trump gets criminally charged, because that is what this is all about. Any way, shape, or form in getting this out. Now, Lisa Page, I want to show you this. This is the Daily Mail based on a Fox News article, okay? Here's the Google search, the news by date. BizPac and PJ Media and the Canada Free Press are the only ones. You're not hearing this on CNN. MSNBC refuses to tell you what I'm about to tell you. But this woman has now testified under oath that by May of 2017, when they appointed Robert Mueller, there was zero evidence. Let me repeat it. Zero evidence of any collusion whatsoever. Say it with me now. No collusion. That's not what this was about. And when they grilled her and they start asking her questions like, hey, what about this text where Peter Strzok said he didn't want to be involved because there was no there and there was little to no likelihood of impeachment. In other words, it's always been about impeachment. She has to tell the truth. After, the lawyers are there. And remember, this still is not in the public domain. Fox News was supposedly able to vet a transcript, and and I don't love Fox News. They aren't telling you the truth, especially about, Tucker Carlson's about the only one telling you the truth in Syria. We played that clip of Lou Dobbs and Jack Keane talking about how all these chemical attacks are Assad, and they know it 100%. So, Louis Gohmert, okay? Now, Louis revealed some bombs, and we're going to play some of those bombs right now for you. He basically got on there and said that 40 seconds in that China well, he doesn't name China, but another large world power had all the emails. Listen.
Out for being the scheming serial liar he is. But let me say this, and it goes with what the president's getting mocked for in Russia. I brought this out, and the mainstream media will not touch it. To me, Fox is the mainstream media, but that is, we know, there is no question, the intelligence community inspector general sent Chuck McCulloch, sent his investigator, Frank Rucker, who told Dean Chappelle and Peter Strzok that despite what some of the media was saying, a major foreign power had gotten every one of over 30,000 Hillary Clinton emails.
A major foreign power had gotten all 30,000 Hillary Clinton campaign emails. And again, the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about that. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. He says that her testimony may be leading them to two people, John Brennan and James Clapper. And why is that interesting? Well, Seymour Hersh, in a recorded phone call, has called this whole Russiagate nonsense, what is it? It is a John Brennan operation. And again, you're not going to hear this anywhere else. Let's play.
Peter Strzok in any way?
Not so much, but she has given us more insights to who was involved in what. Of course, when I hear Brennan or Clapper either say the kind of things they've been saying recently, then it tells me, wow, we must be getting close to them. Those guilty dogs are barking pretty loud. But I think she...
So there you go. He's calling them guilty out of the gates. And remember, Gohmert was one of the only people to call out Strzok other than Trey Gowdy and get yelled at. And you know, we're going to play a small segment. I couldn't believe this.
Messages, Mr. Strzok, the way you do, saying the things you did, you'd been better off coming in here and say, look, that was my bias. And you kind of get around to that a little bit when you say, hey, you know, everybody's got political views. Those are called biases, and we all have them. And you have come in here and said, I had no bias. And you do it with a straight face. And I watched you in the private testimony you gave. And I told some of the other guys, he is really good. He's lying. He knows, we know he's lying. And he could probably pass a polygraph. It's amazing.
Mr. Chairman.
No, this is my time.
Chairman. He literally says right there, you could probably sit there and lie and pass a polygraph. Because what are these people? Peter Strzok is a lawyer. Lisa Page is a lawyer. Okay? They're paid liars. That's what they are. And here he, you know, we're gonna skip over some screaming and yelling that went on, and here's where he
soon because
really
of
sells
the damage you've done to the justice system. And I've talked to FBI agents around the country. You've embarrassed them. You've embarrassed yourself. And I can't help but wonder when I see you looking there with a little smirk, how many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous.
So what is it all about?
Recognize this man.
Well,
He's
let's
a
go
lawyer.
right
He
here, and this is what it's all about,
the
folks.
injury is.
This is Stormy Daniels' lawyer, and this is what it's all about. He's on Tucker Carlson. He's trying to explain. They're going to try to get him on an obstruction charge to campaign finance reform. Watch for yourself. This is the plan.
That he and Michael Cohen and others lied to the American people and covered up the $130,000 payment and violated campaign finance law. That's why Michael Cohen, I'm not done. No, that's why Michael Cohen just pled guilty.
Let me ask you a question.
That's why Michael Cohen just pled guilty.
I understand them. I've been following the news as well.
Okay.
So there it is right there. That's what they want to do, and it's hard to deny that. Now, Nunes says that Trump, and we're not going to play the video, but you can see this article. Again, there's really no articles on this page information, but he says that Trump is going to declassify these Russiagate documents before the election, before the midterms. That's going to be the big move that's going to stop the blue wave. So all these parapolitics, Luke, they're extremely interesting in my eyes. They're something that, to me, does prove there is an anti-Trump agenda somewhere in that military-industrial complex.